Well, it's 8 o'clock. We'll call the Transit Committee meeting to order for July 15th, 2022. Roll call. Like everyone's here, except for probably John Benz, who might join us. Public comment, none. Staff reports, Nolan, Austin.
All right, can everybody see that?
Yes.
Really?
Stand by.
That's true. Can't see that on TV.
We lost our TV here, so 5 guys are looking at the computer screen.
We're looking at your chin now, Austin.
Good, good. Oh yeah, I'm pretty close, I bet.
We did see it was the presenter side of the PowerPoint, so it was the presenter side.
All right. Now we're in business. Let's try this again. Sorry about that. Okay.
Perfect.
I guess I'll have to next with this style, but we'll get through our the agenda today just like normal. Ridership, financials, and where we're at. Electric bus update, staffing, on the shop, around the buses, and on the route. Ridership, doorstop and Red Cedar ridership increased to 491 in June from 472 in May. And then if you look back from May to April, it went down 20%. So it's nice to see that uptick in June. And then the community ridership decreased to 401 in June from 515 in May, but we had that week and a half that START was still in session in May. So in the next slide, I'll talk a little bit more about how the community route ridership has greatly improved. It's pretty cool to see. Okay, a lot to look at here, but up here is 2021, last 3 months. Over here is 2022. And then over to the right is the last 5 years. But just looking from this year to last year, same month, 162 last year, 401 this year, same month. So we're over doubling, almost tripling ridership when there's no students in town, and it's a free route to the community. So that's been awesome to see. Now we're 1 full year into this new route and 1 full year into the free route that it is. Looking back to pre-COVID numbers, 104, 229, 206, 212, and 174 in June, and we hit 401. So that's pretty cool to see. May was 515 this year. Last year, 118, 72 in May of 2020. So 515 that was the second best year ever of May that we've had recordable numbers. So great data to come in from the community route. Looking at doorstop and Red Cedar, both of these are the door-to-door bus service. June, 336 and 154. We're at about 480 last year. We were at 420, 419. So great improvement there. Looking back, 348, 334, and then 124 to 20. So now we do things a little bit differently with how we record Red Cedar versus doorstop. Instead of the Red Cedar driver hopping in the doorstop bus during lunch break, that driver stays out. We assign rides to them. That way the driver doesn't need to drive back to transit from the library, get in that bus. And that's been one cost savings and two efficiency savings of the driver's already in a centralized location during that hour to take those rides. So all in all, that's been huge. Okay. Financials, expenses through 6/30. Not much of this has changed. Compared to last month, we still haven't received, we'll go down to May and June, staffing bills. They're around 20,000 each yet to come. The guys on the computer can see the bottom of the screen, but if you factor these in, we're still about 10% to the good through the month of June. Hello. And looking back up to repair and maintain motor vehicles, we're sitting high in that budget through 6 months. That's because we had to pay for that $16,000 repair bill in full. And then we got reimbursed $11,000 and we just had to pay that $5,000 deductible. But that's going to show high, but it is offset looking at the revenue side for miscellaneous revenue when that comes in. But with the budget being 30,000 for the year, we're still to the good, even with factoring in. Revenues. Sorry, this needs to be down in passenger fares, but 2,000 in checks at transit being deposited tomorrow, another 1,000 in outstanding AR. But that puts us at about 70%, should be for passenger fares. Everything else is on track with grants and subsidies. We met with the UW Stout reps twice now, in May and in June. And for the first time in a while, contract is signed on our end and sent to, or it's finalized and sent to Stout's accounting department to make final any changes that they need. Instead of us doing this in August, we all had it done in June. So we're a couple months ahead of schedule on that. So everything will flow real nice with that. Electric bus update. If you've been around highway or transit this past week, it's been kind of a zoo. We have about 8 buses that have been sitting outside, and skid steers and trucks coming in and out. That's because 60 kilowatt charger has been delivered and it is being installed. It will be done on Friday. I do not have a new update on this 30 kilowatt and the electric bus timeline.
One question,
Yep.
if a bus in the morning is fully charged, can go all day without having to come back during the daytime to be recharged?
That is the goal. And the one positive with us waiting, or this timeline being so pushed out, is that we have gained better batteries in these buses. Instead of them being 115 kilowatt batteries, they're 125. So, a 10% increase, it was going to be close for a 9.5 hour shift before. So that's why, it'd be nice if we got these buses before school started or during winter break when it's a little less hectic, so we could trial and error them a little bit. But the goal would be to get it through a full shift, but that 60 kilowatt charger that's being installed is a quick charger. That'll charge 3 to 4 hours of full charge compared to 5 or 6 for that little one. So even if the driver's here on a lunch hour and that other bus is filling in, he plugs in for an hour, gets another 20%, 30%, and gets him through the day. I hope that we don't need to, but it won't be that impactful if it can't, because of that quick charger.
Will be a big difference between summer and winter time then for you, have you heard anything about it or?
When we toured different facilities last summer, we asked that question because Duluth had some buses.
Okay.
And they have a cold weather outfit package on them, and it works, I guess. So that would be a concern for us too here. I mean, there was a whole week span when it was not above 0. So we'll have to cross that bridge when it gets closer and see where we're at. But I'm assuming they have diesel fired heaters on them. Otherwise, those batteries would just.
Oh, that was wondering, like you'd be kind of cold if you had it.
Yeah. I think.
Diesel heaters on.
Yep. So we're still coming up to the bone. So, yep. Okay, so a big kind of I don't know how it got overlooked from MJ Electric when we've been talking for the past couple of years, but both of these chargers were supposed to be wall mounted on that west wall. And then when the engineer came over and I gave him the printout for this owner's manual and installation manual, it needed 24-inch clearance on all sides. So it was either we cut a hole in the wall and put a door just to be able to open that door to open this door. We actually put this on its own little island between bays 1 and bay 2. And then the 30 kilowatt charger will take 60 kilowatt charger's place on the wall. So we won't have to run conduit, the whole length of the wall to the north side. Both of them will be on the southwest end. This will be between bay 1 and bay 2. 30 kilowatt will be mounted on the wall next to a big junction box anyways. And I think we'll actually be better off this way, because with the length of the buses, if both the small buses were on one bay, you'd have to park 2 long ones in bay 2 or bay 3. So I think it'll work out just fine. There'll be 4 bollards on each side. And then the pick at the right is the inside of the front on it. And there's a Wi-Fi box over here. It'll be pretty cool when we dive into how to run it and how to track everything. But a few pictures of just the process of it this past week. But the best part was they could drive right in. This is all locked, a good spot for them to work out of, and they really appreciated it. This is the junction box on the wall. And then what we did is an angle cut over to the island. Couple more picks. They actually didn't they ran into maybe one piece of rebar, but they actually did that square style fencing, I guess, in the floor of this building. But he said they could have did a little bit better job of pulling it up. Nope, that's radiant above. There's two big strips. Yep. But thank you to Highway for letting us put the rubble over in their pile, as well as getting a little bit of gravel that we needed to finish this off. that's where we're at with the project. They're off today. Concrete's getting poured tomorrow. They should be able to finish up Friday. Staffing, operations supervisor, that's part-time. 5 drivers. One just lost to medical leave until at least August, but we just talked to our staffing agency and we're looking for at least 2, especially to onboard before school starts, so we will take them anytime. And 3 dispatchers, 2 are drivers. May through August routes, we go from 5 down to 3 daily. Around the shop, finishing up with the landscaping that highway did for us. All that grass is coming in and it doesn't look like a field. It just got mowed the other day, so it's been nice to have everything level and not water holes with all those low spots out there. So that's been great. And then I talked to Scott about just doing new mulch beds, just like how we did last year with some of that sweetgrass out in our main area. On the buses, this month's focus again was maintenance. We talked about all the AC issues in the buses last month. They all are slated, if not already going into Badger truck refrigeration out of Eau Claire. 416 was fixed yesterday. I brought it back. I brought 315 there in the morning, and that one's in the shop as of yesterday. It should be done today. And then 314 is next in line. And then we also have another one, but they were booked out 2 weeks. So I was putting this together end of June, put us to about right now, which is about perfect. This next month's focus is getting all the DOT and lift inspections done before school starts. That way a bus doesn't need to be sitting at Irvington when we might need it in the field. Okay, this was just kind of a spitball idea, but it ended up turning into something really economically efficient and pretty practical. So in the Stout meeting, I'll go through in the next month our annual survey that happened with Stout. And one of the big things that the students were lacking was information. A lot of questions came up, even though these brochures are in the bus shelters, they're not, there's not bus shelters at every bus stop. So getting the feedback that said, well, I wish a bus would go to Fricklin and McKeel's or over by South Hall. Well, the bus passes there 8 times a day. So, but if it's not a bus shelter, you may not see that bus sign that's there. Or even though you see a bus sign, you're not going to necessarily call our phone number and ask about it. So these were, $20 a piece, these plastic brochure holders. They fit on these square posts. And John, our operations guy, has a glow forge at home, and he did custom text at every bus stop etched in there. So it's a little harder to see in a picture here, but bus stops 2 minutes after every hour at this location. That's at South Hall, and there's an arrow. So it'll never get washed away or anything like that. So there's 10 brochure holders now extra around town, as well as all the bus stops have their own 9 sets of brochure holders. But this way too, it takes man hours down with a style like this that's not tri-folded. So you just print the sheet, you put it in and go, because there's a couple hundred in these. So going with a full size like this, and it's a lot easier to read when you're a little further away.
I think that's a real good idea. Because I remember every year there's a brand new group of South student freshmen coming in, which aren't acquainted with it.
Yep. So I think the route's there and it's gaining momentum with, as we saw in just the data, that people are using it. So, but every 4 years, every year, there's a new group that's unfamiliar with it, and sometimes it's overwhelming. So whatever we can do to help all, but we have the rider app. So for some of the members new to the group, we have a ride systems app. It's just dunride.com, and you can track all 4 of the buses. It tells you when they're going to every stops. So for the Stout students, that's been a great thing too, but getting the word out there that there is an app. On the back of this brochure, on the other side, it's got the table with the route times, and then it also has a QR code and where to download the app. So
That's not live though.
Yep.
It is.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep. So
I didn't know.
for everybody that's not in here, I'm sorry that you can't see it, but on dunride.com you can. But as of right now, the community route 22 after is getting right to stepping stones, shelter, doorstop buses coming into town, just dropped off at Reach, and then Stout buses sitting there.
Wow.
So real-time tracking, and then it shows you if the bus is late or on time to those upcoming bus stops. So
Very nice.
the students, as long as they know that that exists, and that's on our marquees in the buses, that QR code and how to watch for it, we just need people to download it. They increased our price $20, $26 a month for each unit, so kind of out of the blue, which wasn't the best and nicest of them, but and I talked to them about it, but it's one of those things where they don't increase their prices for 5 years and then turns into a 30% jump. But when thousands of students have it downloaded, you can't just switch. So we're kind of invested in it, and we'll do our best with it. But questions?
Just one, that your ridership is up, is that just due to people getting acquainted to it? It takes time that realize it's available?
For the community route especially, yes. Community ridership in previous years would be some days in June through August, we'd get skunked, be 0, it'd be 5. Now we're getting 15 to 25 a day. And the students aren't here. So when they are here, that route's gonna be bringing in, I think, it used to, pre-COVID numbers during the school year be 1,500 to 2,000. So when you factor in the new riders that are finally getting aware of the route, how it works, I think it'll really help. I'm not seeing a big difference in 22 compared to 21 compared to how 21 was to 20. That there was a big difference there with riding the bus and everything that was going on. We're finally starting to get a gauge of what actual numbers are and be confident in those numbers in 22, with all the outliers that happened in 20, even into 21. And Stout was fully virtual, or half virtual for the spring of 21. So now we have a full year of good data again.
Other questions?
No question, but excellent report. Austin really enjoyed it on all the fronts. So the brochure thing is genius and simple. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And next month, we'll go over the Stout feedback too, and that'll be nice for everybody to see what we saw.
Thanks, Dustin. Thanks for the report.
Yep.
I don't have anything else here. I guess we can adjourn the transit meeting and on the highway.
This just keeps rolling for you. Okay.
Okay. Call a highway meeting to order for June 15th. No, July. What is the date today? 13th. Okay. Roll call. All members are present. We have a guest. Ms. Scorpella. Welcome.
Thank you.
Is the approval of the minutes, we've all had a chance to read them. Is there any questions or additions? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Any other questions? If not, all those in favor of approving the minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Public comment, do we have any? Nothing? Nope. Nothing placed at the request of the chair, staff report, commissioners report. We'll start with Dustin.
Well, we'll start with the everyday highway and shop operations. So most of you probably are aware, so we did start our seal coating process this week. Knock on wood, I haven't received any phone calls quite yet of any damage to windshields, of any loose pea gravel or anything like that. But that process has started. We're looking at probably trying to complete that this week if we can. And then if we need to, maybe go back a few days next week to finish up the list of roads that we're completing.
Question? So how's that handled if somebody does have a cracked windshield? Because the people did their own insurance or that,
So they have to turn it into their own personal insurance.
and that
And-
county has no liability.
Unless it physically comes off of our trucks, that's the only time that our county insurance would play a role. So that's, how do you prove something like that? That's the biggest issue. So, yeah, so if they're happen to drive on the road and we have posted speed limits of 35 miles per hour and they're going 65 and throwing chips everywhere and breaking windshields, that's unfortunately their own insurance. So yeah, we'll be looking at trying to do that, completing that this week, all of our county, state, and town roads. So that's basically our kind of day every operations. We will be starting our paving starting next week. We're looking at trying to pave our County Road B project up by Sand Creek, between Ridgeland and Sand Creek. We have 3 mile stretch highway there that we'll be looking at starting, and then moving on to County Road Q north of Downing. So that's kind of the operations in our field. Shop operations, obviously we just continue doing our annual maintenance, repairs of all the equipment. Obviously when you got large numbers of equipment running at one time, we see more equipment coming into the shop at one time. So we are completing those operations daily. If I know we spoke about this prior, we did have IT come in and we put some cameras on our fuel islands. So IT actually had some cameras that were left over from the remodel at the admin building. So they were paid for. They were basically have a 10-year agreement for operations. So we put them to use and we're put them on our fuel islands. We are looking at trying to expand that to other parts of our facility. Obviously, we have a large number of inventory items and equipment sitting out in our yard, and there's a lot of money sitting out here. We do have a security fence, but a little added security is nice. Just some cameras. It's not to watch our employees like a lot of our employees think. It's the outside individual we're trying to deter. Obviously, we do have the sheriff's department that houses some equipment back here as well. So it'd just be nice to have that added security. So we'll be looking at trying to do that in the future here.
What's the sheriff's department house?
They have their, a lot of the crash vehicles that come through
Oh.
accidents and for insurance and stuff like that.
I didn't realize that.
And then they also, I can't even tell you what's in their building.
Okay, well, that's fine.
They won't tell us what's in the building. It's, yeah, confiscated stuff, I believe a lot of it is.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll look at trying to expand that to our backyard, where there's no eyes and ears back there a lot of times, so. I didn't put in my highway shop operations in my staff report, but I did make some changes to some of our internal mechanics staff hours of operations that they work. So we did have an employee, one of our mechanics, he was working what we call a second shift. Would come in at 9 o'clock and work till 7. I had an issue with him being alone, working by himself. So I basically eliminated those hours and made this individual work the normal 6 to 4 hours that we currently work. We are looking at the possibility, I did get approved to hire our last mechanic position that's open. The issue with having everybody at the same hours is we kind of fall behind on the fluid changes. Obviously, when we got the equipment out and about, it's hard to change fluids until it gets shut down. So we're looking at either trying to come up with some solution where we have 2 mechanics working kind of the same hours, or we look at maybe doing an alternate shift where we maybe work Tuesday through Friday for a few of the mechanics, where a lot of our equipment's not in use on Fridays. So we're looking at trying to utilize that. And like I said, I'm starting that process right now to try to fill our vacant position going forward. I did get a little flack on it, but unfortunately, safety, in my opinion, comes first. So
Yeah.
I don't want to have to call somebody's
Great.
loved one that is pinned underneath the vehicle by themselves. So we did make some changes there. Other than that, that's kind of our daily operations. Some of the project updates, obviously, our V and Q projects, those are basically complete. We are blading County Road V this week, anticipating paving next week. So obviously, once we start getting that paver out, that's when we'll see dollar signs flying out the door here.
So how far do you have to transport the like laptop? Is there a portable, so you have to go so far away, or?
So the main plant that Monarch has is in Menominee here, right at County Road B, out by Love's gas station out there. So that's where we'll be getting the material, and we'll have to be trucking it up that far.
At least it's kind of in the middle of the county.
Yes,
So that
yep.
helps a little bit.
Yeah, so that makes it nice and convenient. It's more centralized for us to just go in every direction. So yeah, that's where the material will be coming out for both of those projects on V and Q. Like I said, we'll be looking at trying to start that process next week for paving. That's if our seal coating doesn't go too far into next week. Our County Road Z project down by Downsville, between Downsville and O'Galley, we continue to do that. That's like I said, about a 3.5 mile stretch of highway that we're doing. We continue to replace culverts, do our widening. Like I said, it's a slow process when you have a 60-year-old roadway that is just beat up. It takes more time to get it back to shape. So we're continuing that. We are waiting for some culverts. Actually, we had to do some special order culverts that have larger diameter steel culverts that we're just waiting for those to get in. Our County Road B project from Highway 1229 to Packer Drive, we still continue with that. The design process, we did have to make a few changes with some culvert stormwater, and then as well as some match-ins at the Badger Badger Drive intersection by Love's. We initially were gonna go quite a ways back, due to the costs and stuff. We're trying to eliminate some of the extra need. I spoke with the city of Menominee, and they weren't on board for paying some of it, so I just said we're gonna ixnay it and eliminate it. And so we're gonna make some changes there. We do have the real estate acquisition obviously has started. I spoke to Core Engineering, who's doing the work for that, performing the sales studies. There is 6 parcels that we have to purchase, either permanent right of way or easements, from 6 parcels on that job.
6 different owners.
Correct. Yeah, majority of them are commercial properties like Quick Trip, Walmart, Love's, Cenex, all that. We do have, I think Quillings are the only ones that I believe are a private individual. So, but yeah, that process, and I spoke to them last week. They said they should have the materials to me this week for review. Haven't seen it quite yet, but waiting for that any day. Our County Road H project, that is our 80-20 match, the STP project. That's just north of Elk Mound on County Road H. I'm asking DOT officials once a week, basically, when this project's going to start. We did get delayed. Obviously, the letting didn't start until May because of the whole acquisitions of the real estate with CenturyLink at that time. That's what delayed that. I actually, Lee, our engineer, his brother actually works for the engineering firm that's going to be doing the construction oversight. And he told me yesterday that it sounds like July 27th is when it's going to start, anticipated. That's, like I said, not set in stone. I haven't heard it from the DOT, but that's just what I've been hearing. And Haas Sons is the contractor that's performing that work. So hopefully that happens sooner than later, because that road is not good. And I do get a lot of phone calls and Facebook messages that when's it going to start? So everybody's anticipating that. So that's the kind of our project updates. The bridges, obviously we have 2 bridges that are taking place. Our County Road K, Connorsville Bridge. The bridge is actually completely up. Both abutments, the deck poured, the approach slabs are done. They are anticipating putting the approach, asphalt approaches and guardrail in, I believe, this week and next week. So once that's complete, we'll do a complete walkthrough of it, and it should be open here, I believe, in the next 2 weeks. So that'll be good for everybody that's trying to get up to Turtle Lake. I know that's the big route there. So.
I got one question. I hate to talk.
No, that's
fine.
One question, Highway H, why is Haas doing the work and not Dunn County?
So with that grant that we have through the DOT, so 80% of the overall cost is paid by the state and 20% local funds. With that, we have to contract it out. So basically
And you can't put your own bid
No,
in?
we cannot.
Oh, okay.
No,
Well, I just-
A contractor has to perform the work, since 80% of it the DOT is paying for. So
Oh, okay.
yeah. So like I said, we have to go through the whole process, go through the whole design.
Okay.
We have all the say basically on how it gets built and designed, and then the DOT does all the legwork and picks the contractor to perform the work. And
So that's going all the way from Highway M all the way down to 29 then?
correct.
The whole stretch, okay.
Yep. And the biggest thing that's going to be changed on there is just it's going to be widened. And then we are going to be cutting a hill just north of the church there. For better visibility of that intersection. And we can't do a whole lot there just because it's solid rock, and it drives the cost up. So we are cutting that down about 5 feet.
Thank you.
So it'll be a nice improvement. We just got to get started. So like I said, the K Bridge, I anticipate that probably completed here in the next 2 weeks. Our Q Bridge, just north of Knapp, that has officially started on July 5th. Radke Contractors is the one that's performing that work. And that is another 80-20 match. for state funding. So 80% of that, these bridge costs are due, performed by the state. So we were looking at that being probably completed at the end of August. Hopefully it can be done sooner than that. It's a small structure, so it shouldn't take too long. Any questions before I move on to any of the equipment or anything like that?
Yeah, on 64, they're putting a box culvert in there.
Yep.
You guys don't have anything to do with that, you
No,
just,
that's a DOT project. Basically, they tell us it's happening, and that's about all the information
okay.
that I have on that.
Went through there last night. I see they only shut down, of course, they shut down just one lane, and I just, when I went through, I saw A1 was there. And I don't know who else was there.
Yeah, and that particular project, they were gonna actually reroute the traffic down M through Colfax.
Really?
I said that road's not able to handle all the truck traffic on that, so.
Where's that at right now?
Right by the old transfer station.
Oh, okay.
64 or 25,
Yeah.
64, right there, yeah. So,
Yeah, as far as I know, they're putting a bypass around it. They're hiding this.
Yep.
So there's no detour.
no, there is no detour.
Originally, they were gonna have it all completely opened up and then detour it.
Yeah, that would have been ugly. I was kind of surprised they did it this way, but that's the reason why, so. They got stoplights up there, so.
Yep. Yeah, we don't need State Highway 64 traffic on a road, I can tell you that, so. Some of our equipment, we'll go right into the equipment. So we finally received our final tandem plow truck. So we did, this truck and chassis was complete in February. We did receive that, and we sent it over to Indian Head to get all the plow equipment on. We just received all that. It was supposed to be basically, we anticipated 3 months, but it took 5. A lot of it was due to waiting for parts and equipment. Like anything, they have the same issue we all have, so.
Are we changing colors on the new trucks? Because like the old trucks are more orange and new ones are more reddish. Is that the goal then?
Everything's going red just due to the resale value. Once you start having an orange or these fluorescent yellows and all that stuff, no private entity wants to buy it.
Yeah, that's why they did it.
Okay, just
So
kinda curious
that's
why.
the biggest reason is we get better resale value if we went to red. We're doing it, St. Croix's doing it, everybody's.
I think Eau Claire County's got that fluorescent green or.
Yeah, and they're
Greenish?
actually changing their colors to like a brown purple. I don't know how to describe it. They got all kinds of random colors over there. But
Psychedelic.
so yeah, I don't know.
I like the color of the new ones.
And
Yeah,
I
I do too, yeah.
I think they are sharp. They stand out.
Mhm.
We blend in, let's say, which is sometimes good.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, that going forward, we will be going with red trucks. So yeah, like I said, our staff are currently going through the truck right now just to make sure everything's in working order and to our standards before we start paying the bill on it. So that's in our shop right now. We did receive our jackhammer from Bobcat Plus. Obviously, literally the day we got it, we put it to use with all the hot weather we got and all the concrete blow ups that we had. It went to good use right off the bat. So crews are loving that a jackhammer that actually works and doesn't stop, and where it's in the shop and fix it, and so it works great.
Jackhammer cost.
That one was about 10 grand. So, yep. And then just some other equipment. So obviously we're looking at our equipment for next year. Obviously, we do have the process started with the purchase of our 4 plow trucks with our CIP request. So that has started. We were looking at trying to look at a sign truck. Our sign truck is aging, obviously, and it's got a lot of mechanical issues. We looked at trying to see what type of cost that would be, and we were actually thrown off guard on how much a sign truck is. We were kind of anticipating right around that 150,000, but we were told we were easily $100,000 short. So we're looking at reevaluating some of our equipment for next year. I've been talking with Dan, our shop foreman. We do have other needs. We are looking at trying to upgrade our dozers. We have 2 dozers that do not have cabs on them. They're open cabs. And obviously we're in conditions where there's a lot of silica and sand and blowing dust and dirt. And we're looking at trying to get ones that have cabs on it just for safety purposes of our employees. So we're trying to reevaluate some of this stuff. We do have a big need of pickup trucks too. We have 15, 20-year-old trucks that mechanically work, but obviously the element we're in, the frames, the bodies, bumpers, you name it, are falling off of it. So we're looking at reevaluating some of that stuff. The truck that I drive, I actually put it into the fleet just so we have another truck to utilize. So we are looking at trying to reevaluate that going next year. So like I said, the whole thing's kind of up in the air right now, and just it's due to the sheer cost of everything, it's ridiculous. But we are going forward though with the plow trucks that we definitely have to get. We're just going to reevaluate some of the other equipment. Any questions regarding any of the equipment? If not, we'll go right into our financials. I provided in our packet what's labeled 6E is our current highway financials that are through the month of June. The one thing I did want to point out, just let you guys know, regarding the vehicle registration fee. So we have allocated roughly $737,200. The standard practice that we've done is basically that's been allocated into admin costs. So basically it just goes right into our admin revenue budget. So it can be used for anything. I mean, you could say it could pay for somebody's wages. So what I've done is I've asked finance to switch that where it's allocated and put that to our county maintenance. So basically that we can use it for any type of county maintenance is what it's utilized for. I just want you to be aware that I made that change and request because like I said, we don't need to put it in the overall highway budget and disperse it wherever it needs to be, pay for electric bills and all that stuff. But we want to put it towards roads. So
Isn't that what it's supposed to be for, Katie?
yes, and that's what it basically, it was put in the big pot. So yes, it could have been put in for construction, it could have been put in maintenance.
Okay.
I just want to allocate it to one pot and be done.
Sure.
So we're not saying it went here, there, and there.
Okay.
So it can go to our seal coating, our crack filling, our pothole patching, all that stuff. So that's one thing I wanted to point out. Obviously on the first page, the whole summary final report. If you look on the whole right-hand side there, the sum of the 2022 projected. So we're basically going off of what we're projecting revenue and based on our current expenditures. We're looking at a surplus of right around that $500,000, that $568,000 based on our current pattern. I can't say that's not going to change. Like I said, the dollars are going to be flying out the door here once we start putting asphalt down, which obviously that is going towards our county construction. And right now we do have approximate, our budget was at 4.1 and we spent about 600,000 of that expense. So we do have right now, we're projecting to be right around that 4.1 million. So that's the big ticket. Our county maintenance, we do have quite a bit of money on county maintenance right now currently. But obviously, when we're seal coating, right now, there's approximately $600,000 worth of seal coating that we're doing, so it gets eaten up pretty quick. So we are monitoring that, obviously, on a monthly basis. This is kind of a new layout that we've done for this month. I don't know if it shows a little bit more detail. Simplified, let's say, which I like.
So if it would go the whole year and have like $500,000 in savings, do you have a fund balance or is that? Because what used to be a lot higher, but what is the fund balance? I mean.
I guess I can't speak on behalf of that. The last I heard, it was zero.
Oh, okay.
We have no fund balance. It's gone.
Right.
So we're trying to recoup that, build it back up.
To take the peaks and valleys kind of more straighter than.
And this is a start. Like I said, that's typically our fund balance is what's used to purchase equipment.
Okay.
And right now, that's, like I said, unfortunately, if it's depleted, we can't buy equipment. If we do that for the next 3, 4, 5 years, it's gonna really hurt our plowing operations and all that. So yeah, that's our goal is to obviously, I'd rather see a surplus than that being negative. So,
Right.
But like I said, we will be monitoring that on a monthly basis, and actually our finance in Beata and Sarah, we meet monthly and go over the whole financials and make changes if things are coded wrong to the incorrect cost centers. So we do monitor this quite often. So any questions regarding that? Perfect. We'll get into some of the agenda items I have on here. So the next item is the Menominee Shop recycled crushing operations. So this was something we've had, basically we've had piles and piles of concrete and asphalt that's been coming in off of road projects, off of any type of state, right out front, basically, if the blow up. So we've accumulated a lot of material, let's say over the last 15 years. So I elected to basically crush this material. So we submitted proposals to all the firms, Haas, A1, Milestone. We went and elected to get Haas. So Haas has a dollar amount of $3.75 per ton to crush the material. So they brought all their equipment in, crushed it for $3.75 a ton. They finished last week. It was about 15,000 tons of material they crushed. I've elected to utilize that entire material on our County Road Z project. So what we've done is the material that we were going to utilize for our County Road Z project was roughly $7.30 a ton, just for the material, and then we have to truck it. So I'm anticipating cost savings of approximately $53,000 for utilizing this material to be used for our Z project, based on that $3.75 versus $7.30 a ton. And we were anticipating exactly 15,000 tons of material to be utilized on that project. So I apologize. Like I said, I spearheaded this through without getting the whole approval from the committee to do this. I needed it done, and they had time to do it right now. So like I said, I elected to do it $3.75 a ton. We can't even make it for that, which is the nice thing. So there's approximately, like I said, about $50,000 worth of savings that we're anticipating for our Z project due to this.
So all the crush, blacktop, concrete. Gravel.
Blacktop, and we can't do it because there's a lot of steel in it. Also rebar, so we don't have a magnet.
Okay.
For our crushing operations, so we had to get it crushed from somebody. So like I said, that's the unfortunate thing, and at 375, I was blown away by it. For them to bring in all their equipment, loaders, conveyor, everything at 375, I was like, yeah, let's do it. I
They
mean,
have been kind of low recently, haven't they? Or have they prior to, but
I guess they look at it as you're not making money unless it's running, so.
okay. So how do they get that steel out of there now?
So it's a magnet, so.
Yeah, but you got concrete attached to it.
So they must have magnets on every level, basically, is it what it takes out. It starts from bigger rock, smaller rock, and
Okay.
smaller rock, and they have magnets the whole process. So all the steel that came out of it, we actually got, we took truckloads of it over to Alter
Sure.
over in Chippewa, Eau Claire area. So we did get cost for that stuff too, for price of steel. I thought it would be more, but wasn't a whole lot.
250 a ton, is that give or take or not?
I don't know what the per ton cost was. Like when we crush our culverts and stuff down, we get 150 a ton.
Oh,
But the rebar and the steel, everything's got a different price based on
Okay.
what it is.
okay.
So I don't know that
I
for
was
sure.
just-
I saw a few checks come in, and that's about all I saw on that, but. So yeah, like I said, that material will be utilized for our Z project, and we are not selling that to anybody but that project. So we'll lead into our anticipated, our 2025 County Road D, or STP project. So this is from Irvington all the way to County Road K. So this is an 80-20 project that the DOT has approved in our last cycle that we've applied for. So right now it's scheduled for 2025 for construction. So we're in the preliminary design phase currently. So Ayers Associate is the engineering firm that's doing the design. So last week I actually had a meeting with them regarding the project, and I didn't provide the plan. It's like I said, it's a 30% completion. I don't want to get too excited about it quite yet. So the big thing that I just want to present to you is right now we have allocated approximately $2.9 million to that project. That's what the DOT has approved for that project is 2.9 million. And that's an 80-20 match, mind you. So sat down with Ayers, they had an estimate put together and it came in at 4.3. So like I said, I'm not getting too excited about it. I've spoke to them. I've told them, I said, we need to look at this a little bit better in detail. If we have to start cutting some things, we have to start cutting some things. Maybe we have to lessen the project limits. My big concern is obviously the Irvington Hill, what we call the lack of storm sewer and drainage and issues we have on that. The current project total length is 2.3 miles. If we have to condense that 1.5 or something like that, or 1 mile, whatever we have to do. My big concern is we have to address that hill section. And that was my big concern, and I expressed to Ayers, I said, if we have to cut the project limits, but they were gonna look at, and we noticed some things that I think their estimated costs were considerably high. So we are looking at ways of cutting some costs on that project.
So it seems like we're getting a lot of those 80-20 projects. How does that compare to like surrounding counties? Are we getting more than they are, or?
No, so basically, the DOT monitors on how many projects we get.
Okay.
So they try to disperse it as much as they can, obviously. So we have a certain dollar amount, and that's been given to us in the past. They try to, if they can, in every cycle. So basically, every 2 years a cycle comes together. They try to at least include one project in that cycle, but it goes for 5 years. So like I said, we started this process back in 21 for a 2025 construction. We applied for a lot of other projects, but
So then like
not guaranteed.
Highway H and that one out there in Irvington are two different cycles then.
Correct. That was 2 different cycles. Yep, as well as County Road B. County Road B is an 80-20 match as well. So like I said, we're trying, we're doing everything in our power to try to get some help on the state funding. Like I said, it's not guaranteed, but we are monitoring that particular project. Just obviously, we don't want to have a 50% increase.
Right.
It's hard to. And we do have an option to go to change management through the DOT for increased funds. We can request that if there's a need. But when I see double the cost, it's hard for us to justify asking the DOT for more money. So we're trying to retract that a little bit and go through this in a little bit more detail. And like I said, it's very early. We're only at 30% out of the 100% plans. So we got time yet. Going into our 2022-2023 contract for our salt. So I just got this last week with our salt contract. So we go through the DOT with our county salt contract just because we get a better cost if we have larger numbers statewide. So I provided that cost for you on 6H. Right now we have 1,500 tons that we have to take, the guaranteed fill and the guaranteed seasonal fill. So if you look at we're on that second line, that 1,700 municipality number. So we have 1,000 tons, which typically we utilize 1,000 tons to make our salt sand annually for what we need at the state and the towns. So that's why you see a larger number for that early fill, which we can get basically anytime. The DOT has kind of pushed counties to order that salt as early as possible. So we'll be looking at ordering that 1,000 tons here probably very shortly. And obviously we have to take through the contract, we have to take that guaranteed seasonal fill 500 tons. We have the option to utilize that vendor reserve, which is a percentage based on our total cost or total quantities. So if we run out, we have the option of getting that extra 300 tons. In the past, we haven't, obviously, just with the last 2 years, we've had mild winters. So hopefully we can continue that. I just wanted to make it known to you that last year in 2021, 2022, the price was $81 a ton, which has gone up to $88.40 per ton. We're at the mercy of increased prices, and unfortunately, I hate to say it, it's something we have to do, but we have nothing to show for it.
Yeah. Right.
Turns into basically nothing. So, but yeah, I just wanted you to be aware of that. I believe I put in there, I think it's an 8% increase, 8 or 9% increase from last year to this year. So that's the big ticket items, I guess, for my staff report. I don't know if there's any questions.
No questions? Thank you for that, Dustin. We'll get into action items, approval of the vouchers. Hopefully everyone had a chance to go through them. I do have one question. What is Mitchell Repair Information Company?
Honestly, your guess is as good as mine.
Okay. Well, all right.
The thing is, when you start buying stuff online to try to find parts, and it's like it comes from everywhere now.
Okay, sure.
I guess what page is that on?
7A.
Is that under the machinery for shop operations?
Shop supplies, it says. It's not a big deal. I was just wondering. I've never heard of that one before. for $3,180. I just
Okay.
hadn't heard of that company before.
And I can get that information.
It's
I
not a
just-
big deal, Dustin, not a big deal.
I can't tell you what it is.
Okay.
I'd be lying if I said it. So,
Dustin, I can respond to that. I just looked it up and it says tractor trailer motor plus combo. The $3,180.
Yep.
Yes,
tractor trailer motor.
it says MTR, so I'm assuming it was motor.
Okay, sounds good.
That's what's on the invoice. So I just wanted to make sure you had your answer if you,
I know we made some repairs to our dozer, so I don't know if that has something to do.
and
with
on the side of the invoice, it says diagnostic equipment.
Hmm.
Does that help?
Yep.
Sorry.
Yes and no.
I'm want to say it was purchased to do some diagnostics, but I can't guarantee that.
I'll ask our shop foreman.
Okay, I can send you a snip of the invoice if you would like.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
That you find it that fast.
Yeah. Anybody else have any other questions on vouchers? If not, is there a motion to approve?
I so move that.
Second. Second. Any other questions? Not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. LRIP agreements.
So, I put in your packet, so we have, I received two, SMA agreements, for our LRIP projects that we've, allocated, going forward, and that we can utilize these funds for the next 5 years. So basically, it's potentially could be a 50-50 split. It usually doesn't work that way. Obviously, we've allocated a lot of this stuff to our hot mix purchase only, so it goes towards the hot mix. So the biggest thing I want to just point out to you is, so we have $200,870 allocated to our County Road Z project for next year. That's on that page 1 of 3 for 7B for your handout. So that's for Z from the next phase from County Road C to 90th Avenue. So we have $200,000 to allocate for paving operations. So we're anticipating right around that $480,000 just in hot mix materials that will get paid half. So that's the one project that we have allocated dollars to. The other one is County Road I. County Road I from basically Sand Creek to the Barron County line. That one has a little bit larger amount of $256,000 allocated to that project. Obviously, we're anticipating a little bit more project length there, so the costs are a little bit more. So it's not an exact 50-50 split just for the material costs. So I guess if there's no questions or any concerns, I guess I would request a motion to approve these two projects and the funding that the DOT has allocated for these two projects. Like I said, we can utilize this for 5 years. Does not need to be completed in 23 or 24. We have a sunset date. These two projects are anticipated, the County Road Z project is anticipated to happen next year. And then County Road I is anticipated to start in 24, is what we're looking at currently. So,
Is there a motion? to approve these? In second?
I'll second
We
that.
have a second. Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay. Bridge. County D.
So I didn't put these in your packets from previous, just because there's dollar amounts in here, and due to the process with this grant. So these are 80-20 matches. So we got approved for 2 of our bridges to be replaced basically in the next 5 years. So these are 80-20 matches with 20% local funds. Like I said, I didn't want to post this to the World Wide Web just because there's funding amounts in it, and with this grant program, we have to solicit qualification based for engineering services, and they cannot know what the dollar amounts are. So that's why I didn't post it to the World Wide Web. It's in front of you. I don't want to say dollar amounts at this point in time. But looking at it, so we'll go through that first one on County Road P. So this is a small structure that's down by, well, west of town, southwest of town. It's hard to explain, just west of K, if you're familiar with that area. It's a small box culvert structure, a two cell box culvert. We're looking at replacing that. It's got a lot of traffic impacts to it, and it's seen its age. So the biggest thing on that is we have a lot longer project length on that. It does have a alignment issues. That's why I think a lot of the impacts to this structure are due to that alignment issue. It's basically an S curve, and there's a structure in between an S curve. So we're looking at widening it, lengthening it, and maybe taking some of the less severity out of the approaches. So we did, the current structure is 24 feet in length and 24 feet wide. We're proposing to have a 30-foot structure, 30 foot long and 30 feet wide, with 150-foot approaches. That is included with this project. All the rail, everything. So like I said, this is an 80-20 match. Looking at if everything's a go, I looked through it. I didn't have any issues with it. I would sign the agreement, send it off to the state so we can start the whole engineering of this project. So I don't know if we want to include these at the same time, or
You can explain the next one to us.
yeah, the next one's up on County Road B. This is actually it's a single span timber structure. This is actually up by Connorsville, just north of Highway 64. It's the first structure you come to. It's a very old, deteriorated, I'm not saying it's gonna fall in, but it's timber. Timber doesn't last forever. So it is in need of replacement. Currently that's scheduled for 2025 construction schedule. So this one's in 2025 on B, and then the one on P is in 2026 for an actual construction. So the current structure is 25 feet in width and 22 feet in length. We're looking at putting a 30 and 30 foot structure in there with 200-foot approaches on it. So
That'd be the timber one?
we will, no, basically,
It's a timber now, but you pour a box
yeah.
culvert.
So that one will be, and the design is obviously hasn't started, but we have somewhat of the input in that. We've elected to go to all concrete. This particular structure will probably be a slab bridge, basically just all concrete, no girders, anything. It's just, it'll be about 2 foot thick concrete deck. A lot of rebar and steel and concrete. We've pretty similar to what you would see up on the K bridge up in Connorsville. So yeah,
Them two aren't very far apart.
no,
I just went over it the other day, all in a tractor. Cause,
I'm sure it wasn't going through the lake.
no, we went to school, which up there. Oh. Yep, they're an auction. Anyway,
but these bridges, So this last cycle that all the applications that we submitted to the state were approved. And it sounds like statewide, every bridge that was eligible got replaced or funding for it. Obviously, we are in our current cycle right now with bridge inspections. We have to do that biannually. So we are in the process of that. Who knows, maybe some more bridges may come into play with replacement after this next inspection.
So do you have one guy that's trained to inspect bridges? I know Tom Colbeck fails in the county.
Yeah, so I'm certified to inspect bridges. We are new engineers certified to inspect bridges. We actually outsourced it the last 2 years. We have a company called KBIS. So it's an individual that does it on the side, basically. He's got a full-time job and then does this on the side. He's certified, he's a dive inspector, he's a licensed engineer. Due to the sheer costs that he can do it for, it's cheaper than what we can do it for.
Really?
So yeah, we monitor that, we look at that. In the past, we've had quite a bit of workload for myself to go under and start looking at all these bridges and then doing all my office work and stuff. It's just, it got to be too much. So we started outsourcing this. With my new position, there's no way I could out and inspect the bridge unless it is catastrophic. Lee's in the same boat. Lee doesn't really have the time to get out in the field, inspect 150 bridges in the month of July. So
They were just out inspecting.
they literally just started
I was
this
just saying,
week.
it's just seen them on fruit.
Yep, they just started this week. So yeah, since we do have a license to inspect the bridges, we have to upkeep that. We have to annually go to refresher training classes. I don't like to say it, but it takes kind of some of the liability off of the county by having it outsourced. If something does happen.
He's insured in other words.
Correct. But we do still, and so there is some structures that have to be inspected yearly, if they're load posted or fracture critical. So we still do those, just so we have a hands-on approach with those structures. We thought that would be the best approach on those. So those won't be happening until next year.
Okay, is there,
I mean,
go ahead.
I move that we approve the 2 bridge contract.
Second. Any other questions, concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, carry. Okay, safe roads for all.
Yeah, so this was a last minute addition that I added to our agenda. I apologize, I had to revise the agenda after I sent it out. So I actually, this was on my radar to try to go after some grant. This is part of that BIL, the bipartisan infrastructure law. So this is some money that was allocated to the Safe Streets and Roads for All grant. It's basically a grant that is allocated to try to put a safety plan together for counties, municipalities, find where there's roads that have issues, safety issues, known issues on a lot of the infrastructure that the county has. I got approached actually from St. Croix County and Eau Claire County to see if we can all go together on one application to make it a stronger application. So we would be basically doing an I-94 corridor application for St. Croix, Dunn, and Eau Claire to come up with where the known safety issues are along this I-94 corridor. This has been on the radar to do this in Dunn County for quite a few years now. I don't know if you remember Jesse back in the day, our highway commissioner. We were trying to allocate this years ago and just do the funding. We just kept scrapping. Speaking to St. Croix and Eau Claire County, we're kind of anticipating we're anticipating hiring a firm to complete the application. So the applications are due September 15th for this grant, for funding for this BIL funding. So St. Croix has taken the initiative to basically start the process and try to get a firm on board to write an application to submit to the feds, basically. We're anticipating right around that couple $1,000s to do an application, and we would split it 3 ways. We're kind of anticipating right around that $50,000 to $75,000 to maybe do a complete grant. That's what we're kind of shooting for, is what the grant would cost to do a I-94 corridor. So the way that this is set up is 90% of that would be covered, and locally we would have to pay the 10%. Like I said, it's something we've tried to implement for years. It's just we don't have the funding to do it. Now the feds have actually, here you go, here's some money to do it. So like I said, we were gonna apply for it on our own. But I think obviously if we can get together with St. Croix and Eau Claire, it's gonna make a stronger application to do an I-94 corridor. Come up with a safety plan, the safety, like I said, known safety issues on our county system. Type remedies to fix it. They obviously don't go through cost analysis and stuff like that in great detail, but if we know an intersection is bad, this is what we can do to remedy it and try to fix some of our issues that we have. Like I said, I think it's a great opportunity for Dunn County to do this. Like I said, I don't have dollar amounts. I can't tell you dollar amounts because nothing's been allocated for it. Obviously, in our budget, we have not allocated any money to this. I do not anticipate the only cost that we would have associated to it right now would be basically to hire an engineering firm to write the application to submit to the federal.
So you're talking about like a I-94 corridor, but yet it'll include the whole county?
Yes. So basically, what we consider the I-94 corridor is basically St. Croix, Dunn, and Eau Claire counties. We're not just saying, is it going to be a mile off of the interstate? Not that. No. I should explain that. So we'd be looking at the entire county system. And the county system only, not state roads, not just the county. Because obviously our roads affect the interstate. It affects it. So maybe there's like an alternate routes or something like that that we can come up with, or some type of safety plan that spells it out that these are some known issues and that we can address and try to correct. And like I said, right now we're anticipating right around that maybe $3,000, that $1,000 to $3,000 to write an application. That's, like I said, I think is high. And like I said, St. Croix has taken the initiative to start the process. They've included us on the actual RFQ that went out to some engineering firms. Like I said, depending on what the cost is, we could scrap the whole idea. So right now, there's nothing set in stone.
I think that would take a little bit of the liability off of Dunn County too, if we're looking at these kind of projects.
Yes.
You know, for insurance wise and that.
Yeah, and it gives us a better idea of what we can address. Like right now, a lot of the method and means that we do for selecting projects is just due to the sheer age.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of it is. Well, maybe we have to look at that and look
And
at,
safety.
this is a known issue. We need to address this.
Sure.
And if we hire an engineering firm to do an 80-20 match, here it is. We need to address this.
Chair Johnson, can I ask a question?
Sure.
So it looks like there's not only planning, but also some implementation money?
Yes, right now, we'd be looking at just the overall safety plan is what is kind of, yes, is what's allocated that we've kind of solicited for.
Okay. Any thoughts?
Sounds like a good idea.
Got a motion?
Yes, it is.
Is there a second? Second. Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, that was pretty easy. Number 8, there's nothing there. Next meeting date would be August 10th. Does anyone have anything else?
I'm just kind of curious on that bridge at Pebble Creek. There's a plaque on the side, but I never had time to slow down and see what it says. Have you ever slowed and see what it said?
I have.
Yeah, the plaque is basically just says the bridge number,
Oh,
so
okay.
it's a Dunn County specific number.
Oh,
And it just says the year it was built.
I'm always in a hurry. I'm just kind of curious what was in the side.
I was gonna put one right next to it. Thank you for getting it done. Anything else?
Anything from Mark?
No, I'm good.
Kind of forgot about you, Mark.
No, we're all, no, you're good. It's all good. So. thank
Get
you.
better.
What's that?
Get better.
Yeah, working on it.
All right, we're adjourned.